Okay, well, it's our pleasure today to welcome Dr. John Rooney. He is Regents Distinguished Professor of Geography at Emeritus at OSU. He really had a career centered around not only geography, but golf. And he's going to tell you a little bit more about that. He pioneered the graphic analysis of sport with the first book on the subject called The Geography of American Sport. He used a system called GIS, Geographic Information Systems, where you can superimpose on a nice map a relevant marketing information, traffic patterns, all kinds of stuff for locating things like golf courses. Is the way he used that in his consulting practice. His most popular book was called The Recruiting Game, and it dealt with recruiting centered around football primarily. We've got about 5 books altogether and a rather impressive array of other publications as well. He's a consultant for Golf Digest, has been for a long time, Business Week, and a variety of other sports organizations. He has an active consulting business and has been involved in the development of about 8 different golf courses in the country, here in Oklahoma, Virginia, and Michigan. Last golf course, I think, was Michigan. Is that correct? Or is there some I've missed there? So I think John's got a couple of videos he's going to share with us. His topic today is the American Dunes Golf Project, which is a golf course in Michigan. And he's also going to talk about the Folds of Honor, and he'll explain why those two are connected. So without further ado, Dr. John.
Thank you, Larry. I'm not in the consulting business on a big basis anymore. I'm semi-retired, playing more golf. My motto is PMG, which most of you know means play more golf. We've got a couple videos. I'm going to show one that deals with the Folds of Honor, and you've got some things on your table regarding the Folds of Honor, what we do, why we do it. I think at last count, we had about 55 students at OSU on Folds of Honor scholarships, and we've done 29,000 scholarships to date across every state in the country. And this year, we're raising enough money to do at least another 8,000, I believe, Kevin. And I'll talk more about Kevin after we see the video. So let's look at the first video.
There's a term I love in life, synchronicity. I define that as chance with a purpose. And one fateful night, my life would change forever. I was flying from Chicago here to Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was United Flight 664. Finally I get on this airplane, I walk through first class, and I see this kid. It catches me off guard because he's a corporal sitting in dress army greens. And I go sit in coach, and about an hour and a half or so later, we land in Grand Rapids, Michigan. As we pull up to the gate, the captain comes over the PA and says that we have an American hero on board. And my mind immediately jumps to this kid in first class, right? And I was like, what did he do? I'd just gotten back from my second tour of duty in Iraq, flying the F-16, and he continues, the captain, by informing us that we are carrying the remains of Corporal Brock Buckland on this flight. And his identical twin brother, Corporal Brad Buckland, was in first class and has brought him those 7,000 miles home. Captain makes another request that everybody stay in their seats until his remains are removed from the right cargo hold. And that night I watched The Other Side of War. As I looked out on the tarmac, the Bucklands on the darkest night of their lives. The thing that really got me, though, was his 4-year-old son. Sat right below the cargo ramp as that American flag draped coffin inched out. And the finality of the sacrifice hit me. The realities that this young boy would never play catch with his dad again. He would never be tucked in at night. And that term freedom isn't free didn't mean anything until I witnessed that. And as the ceremony finishes itself up, you know, I wipe away my tears, right, and I grab my backpack and I look back to the airplane, only to see that more than half the plane had gotten off. No place to go, except that blanket of freedom we'll all sleep under each and every night, courtesy of 1% of this country that suits up every day, willing to defend and pay the ultimate sacrifice for the other 99%. And that was my moment of synchronicity. I knew with every fiber of my being that God had called me on a mission.
That explains fairly well, better than I can, what the Folds of Honor is really all about. And I'll give you a little brief history. The event that he talked about on the airplane going into Grand Rapids, we had a place in Grand Haven, Michigan, and Grand Haven is about 40 minutes west, right on the lake. And I put together a group to buy the Grand Haven Golf Club in 1998. So this was like 06 when this happened. And we had this little event. We raised $8,500, 68 players. There have been several hundred that said they played in that event, but it was only 68. And we gave that money to that family. And at that time, I was working with both Golf Digest and the PGA of America, and Dan came up with this idea. That's Colonel Dan, our son, on the video. Stillwater kid, went Stillwater High, went to KU and a golf scholarship. Then went into the Air Force and flew his last Finney flight about a month ago in Destin, Florida. So 22 years in the F-16. And he founded the little foundation. The first year, we got Golf Digest and the PGA of America to get behind it. And we created a thing called Patriot Golf Day. And Patriot Golf Day was at as many courses in America as we could talk into doing it. The first year, we raised 1.1 million. And everybody said, wow, that's great. Well, the next year it was 3.3 million, and it just keeps going up. Golf itself, the industry probably contributes now 15 million a year, much of that from individuals. And where we really grew was with corporate partnerships. So on your tables, you have a little flyer that Kevin brought that identifies most of the corporate partners. Budweiser was the first big one. I hope you don't drink any other kind of beer except Budweiser. Bud has donated about $30 million to the foundation over the last 10 years or 11 years. So what we decided with this Grand Haven Golf Club is that, you know, golf is a tough business. And I was going to write another book, Larry, entitled "I Thought You Wanted to Own Your Own Golf Course." It's a heck of a challenge, and it's up and down, and it's but the good thing about this Grand Haven Golf Club is it was located near the amongst the sand dunes, and it was surrounded by valuable homes. We had 200 acres to sell to estate developers, and Dan said, "We can't do that. That's where the Folds of Honor started, with this little event." So he said, I will see what I can do in the next year to raise money to redo the Grand Haven Golf Club, turn it into a destination golf course. So what you're going to see next is a little video on American Dunes, and one of our biggest donors, a golfer who some of you may recognize, Jack Nicklaus. So Jack became a huge partner in the new facility. So let's look at that video.
Ooh, that was a good ball. Carry that. Got it. Perfect.
American Dunes is a great example of the hard right. So many people made the very challenging decision as opposed to the easy decision here, which was Grand Haven Golf Club had run its course. The highest and best use of the land was to turn it into a real estate development and walk away, like so many golf courses. I mean, it's a tough business. But what you see out here is the culmination of literally hundreds of people making the hard right decision to build a golf course that will last, I think, for generations and do a whole lot of good.
I think the course is now opened up. The course was formerly the Grand Haven Golf Club, and in talking to Doug Bell, the general manager, he just mentioned it was incredibly narrow, and so now the playability, things are opened up, the trees are pushed back, there are blown out sand dunes, there are plenty of areas to miss where before, if you were offline, even by the narrowest of margins, you were punching out from the trees.
I've done personally 300 and I don't know, 20 golf courses, I suppose now, something like that. And the company's at about 450. And of those golf courses, probably 100 of them are golf courses that we've had events on. The other 250, they're golf courses that we don't have any events for. We don't want to have events. They have no desire to have an event. It's a golf course for the joy of playing the game of golf. I think I would categorize this golf course as one that is for the pleasure of the people that come here to enjoy, to have fun with, to walk away feeling, I really had a great day, but I also contributed to a great cause.
Unique is using the natural topography of Lake Michigan and the dunes that were blown in to play a course that's not manufactured is absolutely fantastic. So you have that links feel golf, that rugged terrain, and being right on the shores of Lake Michigan, it's just an absolute fantastic experience.
Okay, you got to see American Dunes, a little bit of American Dunes there. As Jack, Jack's kind of a cautious guy. He's by most measures the greatest player of all time, certainly in terms of major championships. He's 5 weeks younger than I am, and he started calling me Pops. And we became pretty good friends, but his design fee is $3 million. And he donated that $3 million to design American Dunes. And he was there at least a dozen times. And when he completed the project, I said, how would you rate this course among courses that you've done and other courses you've seen? He said, well, it's the best site that I've ever worked with. And the great golf courses of the world, 90% of them are built on sand in Scotland, Pine Valley, Pinehurst, throughout the United States, sand hills out in Nebraska. So here he had this sand base that he could manipulate. And what we did was tear up the entire old Grand Haven Golf Club, stripped the sod, stripped all the soil off, dug huge holes in the sand. The sand is 100 feet deep there. dumped the materials into the holes, took the sand out, and we raised the whole level of the golf course by about 10 to 12 feet. But what we did most importantly was create these dunes, additional dunes and tees that were 100, and not 100, but 60 feet higher than they were before it was touched. So there's a lot of view sites, and you can see throughout the course. Now, the most important part of the course for the Folds of Honor is that all the profits go to the Folds of Honor. And Dan was able to bring in huge numbers of donations and 4 partners who didn't care a bit about their money, billionaire type guys. And they threw a total of 20 million at this project in addition to Jack, and we already had a great clubhouse. So it is an expensive thing, but it will make a huge profit. So first year, we opened in May. We started out at just $150 green fee. Everybody said it should have been $250, $350, like some of the other courses in its category. But we were filled by the end of May. Tee times had been booked through October. And this year, we've raised the fee, I think, to $200. And we've got 20,000 reservations already for a 6-month season. Now, as you come into the Folds of Honor Golf Club, you go through the memorial wall. And on that wall are plaques, bronze plaques of 18 military heroes who's lost their lives mainly in the Mideast wars, and their footprints. You can walk in their footprints in and out, and then there's a story about their offspring who received a Folds of Honor scholarship. And at 1,300, the Folds of Honor, everybody's got a pin there on your, like this, a lapel pin. Please remember to take one of those home. 13 folds to get the flag in this position. So at 1,300, which is 1 in the afternoon, everything stops. We play taps, then we ring the bell 13 times, a big gong. We do the same thing at our club, which we built in Owasso called the Patriot. That opened in 2010, and it benefits the Folds of Honor in many ways as well. But it's a for-profit club as opposed to a non-profit club at American Dunes. So I am very happy to have ended my golf building career with American Dunes. And as I told you earlier, Larry said I was involved in 8 courses. 4 of them were very nice winners, and 2 of them were big losers. And the other 2 were kind of in between. So golf, if you're tempted to get in the golf business, do your homework. Do your homework big time. But this is the best thing we've ever done. And in closing, I'll tell you what Jack told me about the course after it was opened. I said, Jack, how does this really compare to all the other courses you've done? And I told you, you love the site. He says, well, it's the best. It's the best one I've ever done. And he said, it really breaks my heart to say that. A course in Michigan, because you know I'm a Buckeye. So, Kevin, do you have anything you'd like to say? Kevin is our marketing manager at the Folds of Honor in Tulsa and Owasso. Oh, one other thing, we're building a new office structure for the Folds over there. All donated money, all materials and labor are donated. And how big is it going to be, Kevin?
It's 30,000 square foot, and all of the interior furniture was donated as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. And we're converting the old headquarters, which was all donated as well, into a cottage camp type site for people to stay when they come to visit the Patriot. So If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try. Yes.
Dr. Rooney, is the Patriot Cup, is it still airing each year?
The Patriot Cup this last year was not on TV, but we have moved it to Memorial Day instead of Labor Day.
So it will be this year.
I think this year it got moved back to Labor Day weekend. So we'll see. They're still about to announce that. So.
Okay, yeah, it was on. That's where I made the long putt to win it with Lehman and Pavin. I don't know if you remember that. Bob does. He watched it carefully. He was out with his steers. Yes, where?
Michigan. Why Michigan? Now you tell them why Michigan.
Well, when I first started doing research on the golf industry, I was hired by the National Golf Foundation, which collected information on not only golf courses, but golfers, both men and women, by state. And turns out the highest participation rates for total golf on a per capita basis are in Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and the lowest were in the Deep South. And the percent of women playing golf in the North is about 30%, and the percent of women playing golf in the South is under 10%. So we got a long way to go here in Oklahoma, Sarah. We're kind of in between. But yeah, and that's why Michigan, and plus I was born in Detroit. I grew up in a town south of Chicago called Kankakee, and I had tons of relatives in Michigan. And I got involved with a guy in East Lansing who wanted me to help him with his golf course realty business. And this was in the mid 80s. And that's when I made the first mistake of taking a position, an investment position in a golf club, but it turned out great. And in any event, Michigan is a wonderful golf state. And, you know, climatically, since we've had all this warming, it's a much better, much longer season. Yes, Jim.
Do you have a sense of what fraction of those who would qualify who would able to fund?
Yes, and it's getting, the foundation is becoming more well known. So our apps have gone up. In the early days, we were funding 90%. Today, what, about 70? So that's why we continue to find new partners. And what's the grocery store in Missouri? Schnucks, yeah. Schnucks Grocery, over $1 million a year. We have a lot of programs where the sponsor or the retail outlet rounds up. So Rite Aid was our first big one, and they were raising over $2 million a year for the foundation just by rounding up. So we're constantly looking. We got 2 new partners recently, Chipotle and Sinclair Oil and Gas. And one of the things that Colonel Dan does is speak around the country. And most of the partners have come from his contact with them at a speech. Quick Trip is a local company in Tulsa that has been a big sponsor, and they now, I think, the 6th year for the NASCAR race in Atlanta. Yeah, so the Folds of Honor is gaining traction, I think, through recognition. And I'll let Kevin talk a little bit about the squadron, and I'll sign off here unless somebody else has Scott, I know you want to make fun of me, but. Okay.
Well, thank you, Dr. John. So with Folds of Honor, like the flyers say, these are actually our newest numbers is 35,000 scholarships since 2007, 6,500 just in this year alone. We were able to give out. Every scholarship's around $5,000. So really, when you think about it, all of those money, that 100 and I think it's 160 million now. That's a lot of lives. And once you are a Folds of Honor recipient, as long as you continually apply every year, you receive that for the rest of your education. So whether you are getting private school as a child, or you're getting higher education like at OSU, I think 55, I think is where we're at, 55 current recipients that go to school there. And you know, we have all these partnerships, like Dr. John said. You can join the squadron by going to foldsofhonor.org. $13 a month. That number 13 comes up again. It's very significant for us as a foundation. $13 a month. You're helping families of our military families, spouses and children, fulfill their dreams, do things that their moms or dads may never get to see them do again. So with that, we just appreciate the time today, and hope you guys all have a great day.